Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really getting into it with Solana. It was flying high for a while, but now things look a bit choppy.
Yeah, definitely seeing some turbulence.
And everyone's asking, is this the bottom or is there more rough water ahead?
That's exactly the question.
Right.
And our mission today is basically to give you a shortcut to unpack Solana's potential paths forward. We're digging into expert analysis, specifically this technical pattern folks are talking about, the Wave 4 correction.
Okay, wave 4 correction. Sounds technical.
It is, a bit. But we've gone through the latest market updates, the charts, the analysis, and we're here to boil it down to what you really need to know.
Perfect. So if you've been feeling a bit lost with Solana lately or just curious about what's driving the price, this deep dive is for you. We'll unpack it, give you the key takeaways, and hopefully, spark some insights. Okay, let's get started.
Let's do it. So looking at Solana right now, the first thing that jumps out is, well, selling pressure. It's pretty clear.
Down pressure, okay.
And based on the technical analysis, the prevailing view is that Solana is still working its way through this thing called a Wave 4 correction.
Right, wave 4 correction. For listeners who maybe aren't deep into Elliott wave theory, can you give us the quick version? What does that usually mean for a crypto like Solana? Where is it in the grand scheme of things?
Sure, good question. Think of market trends like climbing a mountain. You don't go straight up, right? You have pushes higher, then periods where you rest or even dip back a bit before the next climb.
Okay, makes sense.
Elliott wave theory suggests markets often move in, like 5 waves up in a main trend. The fourth wave, wave 4, is one of those rest periods. It's a correction, a pullback. Sometimes it goes sideways. It happens before what's potentially the final wave up, wave 5.
So it's like the market catching its breath, maybe shaking out some nervous investors.
Exactly. It can be complex, messy sometimes, but it's generally seen as a pause within a larger uptrend.
Now, I remember hearing some chatter maybe a little while back that this wave 4 might have already finished, that we'd seen the low. What happened there?
Yeah, you're right. There was a scenario considered lower probability, but still possible,
Yeah.
that wave 4 had already bottomed out.
Right.
But for that to be confirmed, we really needed to see some strong, sustained buying come in before a key support level broke. We needed more upside momentum.
And that didn't happen.
Nope. Instead, what we saw was that support level, right around $179, it gave way. It broke.
Ah, okay.
And that break, well, it pretty strongly reinforces the idea that, no, wave 4 isn't done yet. The correction's still playing out. We're still in that breather phase you mentioned.
Got it. So if the correction is still unfolding, what are the likely scenarios from here? What paths could Solana take? I think the analysis pointed to a couple of main possibilities.
That's right. Two main pathways we're watching. The first one, and probably the more likely one at this point, is a fairly straightforward pattern called an ABC structure to the downside.
ABC structure.
Yeah.
This sounds like maybe a three-part move. What would that look like in terms of price levels? Where should we be looking?
Exactly, a three-step decline. Think. Wave A is the first drop, wave B is a smaller bounce or consolidation, and then wave C is the next leg down.
Okay.
Now, for this pathway, the key target area isn't just one level, but a confluence, a place where two important technical levels overlap.
A confluence, like two streams joining. What makes that significant?
Precisely. It's like having two different indicators pointing to the same spot on the map. It increases the odds that that area will act as important support. It kind of becomes a magnet for the price.
Okay, so what are these two levels forming the confluence?
So the first is the 50% retracement level. That means the price pulls back halfway from its previous major high. This 50% level is often, a pretty ideal target for a wave 4 correction.
Halfway back down. Got it.
The second level is the 100% extension. Basically, you measure the length of that first drop, the A wave, and you project that same distance down from the top of the B wave bounce. If the C wave equals the A wave in length, that's your 100% extension.
I see. So two different ways of measuring pointing to the same sort of price zone?
Exactly, and both are considered very relevant technical levels. We have seen Solana already hit the 38.2% retracement, which is a shallower pullback level.
Right.
And while there was a little bounce from there, maybe looking like a 5-wave move up initially, which was somewhat promising.
Yeah.
But it didn't really follow through. We didn't get confirmation that a real bottom was in. So the expectation now, if the C wave continues, is to watch for that deeper confluence area around the 50% retracement and 100% extension to potentially be tested.
Okay, so path one is this ABC down to that key confluence zone. Seems pretty clear, if maybe a bit painful for holders. What's the alternative, the less likely path?
Yes, There's a second scenario, definitely lower probability, but worth mentioning. It's a triangle pattern.
A triangle, like the press bouncing around within converging trend lines.
Exactly. It would look like a series of waves labeled A, B, C, D, and E,
Mm-hmm.
kind of coiling tighter and tighter. It's a more complex sideways sort of correction.
That sounds like it could drag things out even longer.
It absolutely could. And, just to be clear, this is mostly brought up for educational purposes. It's not the high probability scenario right now.
Understood.
For a triangle to become more likely, we'd need to see a larger bounce from around the current price levels. But critically, that bounce would still need to make a lower high than the previous peak.
Okay, so a balance but not a convincing one still fits the corrective picture.
Right. It's something to keep in the back of your mind, but the focus really remains on that ABC structure for now.
Okay. So as we're watching these potential paths unfold, what are the really crucial signals? What should listeners be looking out for, whether they're bullish or bearish? What tells us the tide might actually be turning?
Yeah, this is key. The most important thing right now is seeing some kind of impulsive upside reversal, like a strong, decisive move up. And critically, seeing that before the price breaks below $160.
$160. So that's the big line in the sand on the downside.
That's a really critical support level, yes. Solana is definitely feeling the pressure short term. Holding $160 is vital.
Okay, $160 is the floor to watch. What about the ceiling? Is there a clear signal that says, okay, maybe this correction is over and we don't need another low? What's the trigger for the bulls?
A really clear breakout signal, the kind that would make you sit up and take notice, would be a sustained break above the high price we saw on Monday, the 28th specifically.
Monday's high. Got it.
If we break above that level decisively, it would strongly suggest, okay, maybe there's no need to form another low after all. That would be quite bullish.
And what about, say, $195? I think that level was mentioned too.
Yeah, a break above $195 would also be significant. It would
Oh.
likely mean wave 4 has already bottomed. Although I'd personally still be a little questionable about it just because this pullback we've seen recently has been quite deep. But yes, $195 is another key upside level.
So it boils down to holding support, right? That seems to be the main theme.
Absolutely. Holding support is what really matters in these situations. And technically, Solana is holding support for now, but the issue is we just don't have that clear confirmation of a bottom yet. No impulsive move up to signal the end of the correction.
It feels like a waiting game almost.
It can feel that way. It's easy to get caught up in the little wiggles on the chart day to day,
Yeah.
but understanding these larger wave structures helps avoid just, buying based on hope, what I sometimes call the hope trade.
Yeah, hoping it goes up versus seeing signals that it likely will go up. Big difference.
Huge difference.
And you mentioned this isn't just a Solana story, right? We're seeing similar patterns across the board in crypto.
That's what makes this moment so interesting, actually. Yes, we're seeing very similar corrective patterns playing out on many other crypto charts. It's not isolated.
So the whole market is kind of at this inflection point.
It really feels that way. Like the broader market is at a key decision point, almost holding its breath, waiting for the next directional move. And adding to that, remember the analysis we're drawing from was done around the time of an interest rate decision.
Oh, right. Macro factors always playing a role.
Always. So you have the technical picture looking corrective and potential macro catalysts lurking. It makes for a very interesting setup.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. To summarize our deep dive today, Solana is definitely at a critical point in this wave 4 correction. Experts are pointing towards that potential ABC structure downwards, with key target zones identified by that confluence of the 50% retracement and 100% extension.
That's the primary pass, yes.
But we also need to watch specific signals. Holding that $160 support is crucial. And on the upside, a break above Monday's high, or perhaps $195, would be a strong sign the correction might be over.
Exactly. Watching for those impulsive moves, either up or down, is key.
And remembering, this isn't just Solana, it's potentially a broader market theme right now.
That's right. Understanding these technical sort of microstructures helps grasp the bigger picture, this key decision point we seem to be at.
So here's something for you to think about as you process all this. As you consider these detailed patterns, these microstructures, and this idea of a market at a key decision point, what does exploring this tell you about the difference between trying to anticipate where the market might go versus just reacting after it moves?
Yeah, that's a great point.
And maybe think about how understanding these kinds of complex, sometimes confused patterns might actually help you interpret other dynamic situations, not just in finance, but maybe elsewhere too. Spotting the signals before they become obvious headlines.
Food for thought, definitely.
We'll leave you with that. Until next time, keep diving deep.